Good afternoon, parents. How are we doing this afternoon? This is my second try. I recorded a live a couple minutes ago and I didn't have sound. So hello. Welcome, welcome. If you're new to me, my name is Adrienne Bishop. I am a certified positive discipline educator and a life coach for parents. And today I wanted to talk about making decisions, big and small. So I know that some of you are still making, some of you are still making decisions about school. Some of you are done making your decision. Some of you are making decisions daily about just, everything involved with COVID and all of the fears and all of the risks that you're taking. And if you're on, if you could tell me if you could hear me, because my last live, no one could hear me. So basically, I wanted to talk to you about how to make decisions confidently and quickly and much more easily. So if you're still making decisions about the school year or just daily decisions about risk and how to proceed, this is going to help you feel more confident in your decisions for sure. So decisions like school options, these really big ones, can feel daunting and overwhelming and even life-threatening, right? And our brains hate making decisions because when we're making them, we feel really uncomfortable. There's a lot of discomfort, and sometimes it just feels easier to put it off and to not make the decision. But not making a decision actually is zapping our energy. It's wasting time, it leaves us powerless and feeling stressed. So let me just make sure that you guys can hear me before I keep going. Awesome. Yes, you can. Okay, perfect. So the interesting thing is that when we make a decision, we try to get all the information, right? We try to, do pros and cons lists and learn more and get stats. But our brains are always asking us for more information before we make a decision. This is what our brains think we need. And so it's so easy to put off making the decision because it feels so important to get all of the information. But in reality, this is just an excuse and it's an indulgent in confusion. So I want you to know that so that if the idea is our brains always need more information, we just have to at some point just stop and decide and make the decision. When we finally decide, it's going to feel so much better. We're going to feel more confident, in control, and then we can just start taking action from that decision and follow through on it while supporting ourselves and honoring that decision. That feels so much better. So if you're here and you still need to make a decision about something, or you're making decisions a lot during the day that feel kind of challenging, I want to give you 10 ways that you can more quickly and confidently do this. So, number 1, ask yourself, if all options turned out amazing, which one would you choose? Let's say you stay at home with your kids and you homeschool them, it turned out amazing. Let's say you send your kids in and it turned out amazing. Which one would you choose? Number 2, what if there are no wrong decisions? What then, right? So I want to ask you, what makes a wrong decision? Well, guess what? It's what we decide about that decision that makes it wrong. So that's really good news because we can just decide that we're making the right decision. It's all in our power. So let's give you an example. So imagine you are at this point, you feel like marrying your spouse was a wrong decision. But guess what? That's something that you can control. Maybe you can change your thought to something like, what if marrying your spouse was exactly what was supposed to happen? And then we can support ourselves in making that decision today and know that somehow that decision was all for us and find evidence for reasons as to why that decision was the right decision and how it was for us. So you can do that about any decision you've made in the past and any decision you're making now. And number 3, like I said earlier, decisions are made in an instant. We think we may take, a month to make the decision or 2 weeks, but actually during that time, we're just indulging in confusion and delaying making that decision until the moment we actually make it. So if you want to feel better about your decision and just make it, you can do it in this instant. And then you can start taking action on it. Number 4, consider every option. every possibility. And the way we do this is that we be certain and calm as opposed to in anxiety or fear. Okay. So if we are certain and calm, we can much more easily see options and think logically. So we want to make sure that we're in those emotions instead of in these negative emotions, which will kind of cloud over the logical part and we won't see all the possibilities. We also usually have self-imposed limitations on what we think is possible. But I want you to know that you always have a choice. So here's an example. I have a client that he was just debating whether or not to go back to work. And he thought to himself, well, I have to go back to work because I need the money. And I said to him, do you have to? Do you really have to go back to work? Are there no other options around? Could you not go back to work and stay home with your kids and budget differently? Could you get a different job where you don't have to go into work and you can keep your kids safe and stay home? Could you possibly just decide that you want to go into work, right? And feel empowered about that decision and decide, I'm going to go into work. What would your compelling reason be, right? What would the reason be for you to do that? Well, he said, well, I really love teaching my students and I miss them and I want to support my family. And I said, that's empowering. That's way better than saying I have to go to work. Okay. So have to creates resentment. So we want to instead think of get to, I get to. Number 5, what if failure was not an option? What if you were only winning or learning? Okay. So this is another mindset shift. We're only winning or learning. This is actually useful in your growth. Thinking you failed is not useful in your growth. How are we going to learn from that situation? How are we going to use that situation to help us grow? Number 6, how can you say yes to both things or more than one thing? So instead of just saying, well, I have to either work or not work, what if you can work from home or work less or work at night, right? So how can you say yes to both things instead of yes to one thing and no to the other? And this will also open up your eyes to like a both and situation instead of an either or, okay? Also, we want to ask ourselves, what would your future self say 10 years from now? So your wise 10 years older than you are now self, looking back and giving you advice and knowing how it turned out, what advice would that person give you? What advice would your future self give you? Okay. Then we also want to put a deadline on deciding. If we're really stuck, give yourself a date. This is what I'm deciding by, and then follow through with that. Okay. Number 9, what is your best case and worst case scenario that could happen if you made this decision? So imagine both sides. What does that look like? A lot of times your worst case scenario is actually missing out on your best case scenario. So I want you to think about that. Number 10, and this is one I love to use. What would love do? So a lot of people, they actually act and make decisions out of fear. So instead, we want to change our mindset and ask ourselves instead, what would love do? This decision-making process is actually what life coaching is all about. It's about helping you make good, confident, firm decisions and then having your back and taking action from those decisions. This is literally what life coaching is. Making decisions and taking action from them is what gives you the results in your life that you want. Whether you want to be a better parent, whether you want to, feel better about your kids and their behavior, whether you want to have the career you want, the money you want, all of these things all come from making good decisions and learning how to make those decisions quickly and firmly and having your back after you've made them. If this is something you struggle with, please reach out, message me. This is what I help parents with. I help them to decide that they're good enough. I help them to decide that they did it exactly the right way. I help them to decide that what they're doing is the best for their kids and feel confident in those decisions. And this is the key to having any result you want, and it just impacts every part of your life. So don't wait to learn how to do this in your own life. Reach out to me, comment below, message me. We'll chat, we'll get on the phone, and I will give you the solution to getting to that place that you want to get to in your parenting and in your life. And I will tell you the solution on the call. Okay? It's a really fun. Life coaching feels so good and so stress relieving and helps us to just get in touch with who we are and what we want. And a lot of times That is what goes away when we're parents. So I want to be able to help you find that part of you again and really honor it. Give you that hour, or more a week of time where it's just about you. Okay? I hope to talk to you soon, and I will see you Friday. This is going to be the first part of my going back to school live, and then the next part I'm going to do on Friday because I had too much information. So on Friday, we're going to learn how to be emotionally healthy this year, you and your children. So don't miss it. I'll see you at 11 on Friday. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.